I was once taking a tour of a manufacturing facility. Someone was giving me a tour. And as we were walking on the line, by the line, we get towards the end of the line and I see a big pile of inventory, finished product. And I say, what is that? Why is that all that inventory sitting there? And the person told me, those are defects. Those are bad parts that are sitting there. And as you can imagine, my eyes lit up. But what was more interesting was that the person that was telling me this knew about it and they weren't even fazed by it. The reason I share this story is because, many times I go to manufacturing facilities and we have issues like this where we have defects and inventory laying everywhere and people are become accustomed. It's almost like they become numb to having these issues and not dealing with them. So I want to share some thoughts around how to go about solving these issues so that you don't have to deal with all these defects and end up with a pile of inventory that's no good and you end up just trashing all these parts. Hi, my name is Dan Burgos and I'm the president and CEO of Alpha Nova Consulting. We are a consulting firm that helps manufacturers improve their operations and increase their profits by up to 25%. Let's get into the topic. Here's how I would, recommend you go about limiting defects in your operation. First of all, you want to establish your current state, but do it using facts. Make sure you collect data. I can't emphasize enough how often I see people go by intuition or their sheer experience. And so you want to collect data. You want to look at the facts and see where are we failing at this. The next step I would say would be to focus. Make sure you identify what's the area that's creating most of the defects and what kind of defects even within that is creating the problems. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, but basically what that rule tells us is that 80% of your problems are going to come from 20% of the causes. So in other words, in simple terms, is that most of your problems are going to come from a very small group of reasons or even departments or causes, however you want to slice the information. So make sure you focus. Then you want to brainstorm with your team the root causes of these issues. I can make the observation that very often I see people just put band-aid solutions or things that really don't address the root cause of the problem. And what happens is that they end up chasing the same problem over and over and over again. And really, if we spend a little bit more time trying to find out what's really causing the problem, we're better served by addressing it once and getting rid of the problem. Then the next step would be to build a plan once you know the root causes and develop countermeasures, collaborate with your team to develop those countermeasures and then build a plan to go implement them. And then after that, it's just execute. So again, I'll summarize. Identify with data what the problem is, focus on the biggest problems, brainstorm the root causes, and then go implement the countermeasures that you develop in collaboration with your team so that you don't end up like the people in the story that I gave at the beginning.
If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to receive notifications. If you have questions or want to learn more about us, visit us at alphanovaconsulting.com. I'm Dan Burgos. Thanks for watching.